Hello and welcome to today's portion of Daily Bread. In Luke chapter 8, we have those very memorable incidents from Jesus' life when he is in the boat on the Sea of Galilee with the disciples and a great storm comes up, but Jesus is asleep. And you might remember that these disciples are struggling against this storm, trying to get control of the situation, and they are unsuccessful until finally they wake up Jesus and ask him, "Master, save us." Maybe it's more of a demand than it is a question, but nevertheless, they're fearing for their lives. And as Luke records Jesus' response to them, it's a question. Where is your faith? Of course, Jesus goes on to calm the storm, and they're amazed at what Jesus has just done. And they even ask the question, "Oh, what kind of a man is this that even the winds and the waves obey him?" But I want you to go back with me to Jesus' question. Where is your faith? It doesn't appear to have been so much a reprimand or an admonishing of them for their lack of faith, but just, okay, how come you're not exercising your faith? He wasn't saying that they didn't have any, but they just weren't using it like they should have been using it in this circumstance and on this occasion. You know, when the Lord asks questions, he doesn't do so for informational purposes. He's not doing it because he doesn't know the answer to the question that he's asking. He's asking the question for the purpose of causing us to think and consider and realize what's going on. You think about in Genesis 3 when Adam and Eve have sinned and they hide themselves because of their shame. And the Lord has a question. Where are you? God is not ignorant of their location in the garden, but he's wanting them to stop and think and look at the situation and say, wait a minute, this isn't right, this isn't good. We're hiding from God. Something is wrong here. And so when Jesus asks this question in this boat during this storm, where is your faith? He's wanting, I believe, disciples to think about their response in a given situation. And this is upsetting and it's disturbing. So how come I'm not responding to this in faith? We oftentimes do face situations where things like fear and uncertainty, emotions, all these things get the best of us, and our response becomes a lot of things other than our faith. Maybe we find ourselves in a situation where we never considered that a faith response is really what's appropriate here. Or maybe we find ourselves in a circumstance where we feel that we are powerless and helpless, we're weak, this is beyond our control, and we don't respond in faith. Think about a time when you are doing something and you're learning something new, you're trying to improve in something, and in the very process of that, you're going to have to get beyond where you're comfortable. You're going to have to get to a point where you feel weakness, that I'm beyond what I feel like I'm really capable of here. And that's the very kind of thing and the very place where growth occurs. You know, at different times I've exercised in my life. I have lifted weights, or I have got on a running regimen or whatever. And in order to prove in those kinds of activities, you have to push yourself to go beyond where you've been before. And it's only then that you're able to make those improvements. And so it is with our faith. At times we're going to find ourselves in places where we've never pushed ourselves or been pushed to have to deal with this kind of a thing before. But it's still a time where we need to respond in faith, even though we might feel inadequate and incapable of dealing with this situation. So, a great question that Jesus asks. Where is your faith? It was a question we need to ask of ourselves going through whatever it is we're going through in life, when we're feeling troubled and disturbed and upset and weak and helpless. where's my faith? Well, here's my faith. It's not what it could be. It's not what it should be. It's not what it needs to be. It's not what it's going to be, because I'm still going to approach this in faith. And in doing so, my faith is going to grow. It's going to become stronger, so that next time I am going to be able to respond, and the question won't have to be asked, where is my faith? My faith is right here, and it's in action, and it's doing what God intends for it to do in my life here and now. May we always be willing to ask that question, and may we be willing to recognize that our faith and a response of faith is always the right response.